Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person. Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
Well, you haven't. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Nation, everybody, welcome to the show. Man, I gotta make more of those intro songs. Those are fun, and there's so much farmable content out there to do so. I love it, so good. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. We're gonna have some fun. Just the normal conservative insanity and conspiracy debunking will happen on today's show. There's, of course, other news that's happened. There's all sorts of things going on with the reconciliation bill and the infrastructure, and Cori Bush giving a very impassioned speech, for women's rights, of course, against the Texas abortion bill, and of course her story. I'm not gonna get too into that, but it is heartbreaking. And it was very, very, very emotional and important for her to share her story. So if you haven't seen that already, I think that's important. And all sorts of other stuff. But we're going to focus on some different stuff today. We have, of course, the story The Intercept broke a couple of days ago about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, and of course the groups that are pushing that. Turns out they're making the money. They're making lots of the monies. And let me explain how. We also have another episode of Pillow Talk. You're going to enjoy that. As usual, we get Ted Cruz standing with anti-vaxxers, big surprise, who believe in insane conspiracies. Fun times. We also have the smart dust. Yes, smart dust. Apparently making people magnetic. That's fun. That video's fun. And then we have Matt Walsh, who is a troll and does insane things for attention. And guess what? He's going to get the attention. So let's do it. Fun time. If you haven't already, please like and share the stream. It's going to be a real fun show. And, of course, information-packed as always. Smart dust. Yeah, you're gonna love the smart dust story. It's probably one of my favorite stories today. So we'll get to that. Dive in. Can smart dust be snorted? Why would you ask that question? Honestly. All right. Serious stuff first, then we'll get to the fun. So early on in the pandemic, there were a lot of different possible treatments that were tried in order to stave off COVID-19. And look, this is also going on in a lot of different countries that don't have the vaccine. And this is something, of course, that's very concerning to health officials all over the world, considering that we do not have, at this point, equality of access to vaccines. So that's a gigantic problem where most of the vaccines are located in, the United States, Canada, Europe, etc., but not really anywhere else. And so you've seen previously to the vaccine, there are a lot of these different treatments that were tried here in the United States and other places. Some of them have had success. In fact, you had monoclonal antibodies, remdesivir. Those are two, I guess apparently decent treatments that we've had some success with. Others, however, that have been tried, specifically in the United States, have not been so successful. For example, colloidal silver, hydroxychloroquine, bleach, and of course, shoving light bulbs in your anus. These are all true. All been tried. Now, it turns out the best prevention is, well, prevention. Masking, social distancing. And then, of course, once the vaccine was available, getting the vaccine. Again, the best way to stop coronavirus is to not get it in the first place, if possible. So now, that said, the vaccine has been proven to work to making sure that you don't get seriously ill. And if you get sick, of course, that you stay out of the hospital. So that's good. That's generally, again, how it works. It reduces your chance of actually getting it. Although when there are breakthrough infections, it makes sure that you are able to fight off the virus well enough to keep you out of the hospital. So that's good. That's good. Yet for some reason, even though the vaccine, we are literally swimming in vaccines, Americans have avoided it. They've avoided it, even though it is free at the point of service, which is something that you almost never see in America. A medication actually free at the point of service makes me think that, oh, you know what? The smashing success of the vaccine being free at the point of service should be expanded to everyone, to everything, all these medications. The insulin, for example, is one of those things where you should absolutely get it free. EpiPens, same thing. Life-saving medication, right? That said, there are a significant number of Americans that have, as I said, avoided the free vaccine and have resorted to getting fake cures shared on Facebook. So now, where is this coming from? I mean, it's not just rando people making these things up and spreading them around, right? Just regular people going viral. No, it seems a little too widespread, a little too sophisticated over on right-wing Facebook pages. So how is it possible that so much of disinformation has been spreading around? Well, we know. Follow the money. All about the money, of course. In fact, earlier this week, The Intercept released a damning report revealing that a prominent conservative organization has hooked up with healthcare providers in order to swindle people out of millions of dollars. So now, how did they do this? That's the question. Well, first, they used the aforementioned social media, conservative social media pages that will spread vaccine disinformation, okay? And then, of course, after people consume this disinformation, they will themselves become vaccine hesitant. And then after these people are vaccine hesitant, they look for other solutions, other cures. And what do you know? These companies are right there saying, don't worry, trust us. We've got the cures for you. And it's horse paste and it's, or horse pills or whatever. And then fish tank cleaner. From the report, one of the most prominent operations to scam the unvaccinated has been spearheaded by a group called the American Frontline Doctors, or I'm sorry, America's Frontline Doctors, which is an organization that is ostensibly that is pro-Trump, founded last summer by a conservative California doctor named Simone Gold. Simone Gold was also a Capitol rioter. You know, just letting you know about that. She was part of the Capitol riot. So now the group was funded, unsurprisingly, by the Tea Party. And they, of course, as I mentioned, their whole purpose was to help the Trump administration downplay the disaster of COVID and to really push for the reopening of the economy, the reopening of schools. And of course, the reason for that is not because they cared about the economy. No, it's because they want to push people back to work. That's the entire reason the Trump administration wanted to do so. Push people back to work, get the economy moving along. It doesn't matter how many people are dying. Just get the economy going again so that Trump can run on good economic numbers. That's it. That's really the entire political calculus here from the Republican Party is we really desperately want our numbers to go up. Therefore, we're just going to bank on good economy, but this dastardly virus, and more like the mitigation for this virus, has really put a damper in that. So now, that same group, America's Frontline Doctors, also featured famously the demon sperm lady, Dr. Stella Emanuel, who says that women get, they have sex with demons in their dreams. Of course, obviously in their dreams, right? And that causes fertility problems somehow. She also claimed that we were being injected with alien DNA. Complete and total crank. She actually does run a clinic out of a strip mall. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Now, other members of that group include 2 ophthalmologists, one that no longer even really practices, and other physicians that have gone all over conservative media to push hydroxychloroquine, and again, for reopening the economy faster. That is the thing, of course, that they all agree on. Now, according to hacked data sent by to The Intercept, 72,000 Americans paid America's Frontline Doctors $6.7 million for COVID-19 consultations from July 16th to September 12th. $6.7 million. Jesus. It's a lot of money. So now, per the hacked documents obtained by The Intercept, this is how the operation worked. Frontline Doctors referred its conservative audience to telemedicine partners speakwithanmd.com. Customers then paid $90 out of pocket for a telehealth consultation before they were prescribed this regimen, which was, again, not covered by insurance. So basically, what you have is a situation where they pay extra money out of pocket because, again, what insurance company is going to cover these cranks and pay for an unproven treatment? They're not. So now, the pills were reportedly sent to customers by another third-party company called Ravku that delivers medicine from pharmacies to people's homes. They describe themselves as an Uber of medicine, which, oh, great, that's exactly what we need. Great, fantastic. So now, it turns out there was a lot of people making a lot of money off of this. Big surprise, the hacker also provided records of 340,000 prescriptions that Ravku has filled between November 3rd, 2020 and September 11th, 2021, amounting to an estimated $8.5 million in drug costs, around half of which went to hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin, another 30% are for zinc and azithromycin or the Z-Pack. So all of this stuff, by the way, is, remember Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan says, oh, I got COVID, so I threw the kitchen sink at it. And so that's what he took. He took the zinc, the azithromycin, ivermectin, the monoclonal antibodies, which actually do work. Those are effective. And then threw effective stuff in with the non-effective stuff, and then came out later and said, it was the ivermectin. Thank you, modern medical science. And this guy has millions of views, by the way. So, affecting millions and millions of people, his voice actually carries weight. Disastrous. And again, it's because he's wrong. If he was factually correct, well, I would give him credit for that. But he's not. He's wrong. So now, let's see. They also, as I said, speak with an MD physicians, have prescribed all these different drugs, and America's Frontline Doctors claims that it trains these people in order to dispense these medications that generally don't work on COVID-19. And then they pocket your money, even though you can go and get a free vaccine at the point of service. So it doesn't make any point. And by the way, people have died as a result of taking these medications, either from side effects or just getting COVID-19. For example, cardiologists have warned that hydroxychloroquine taken with azithromycin increases the risk of dangerous irregular heartbeats that could end up being fatal. The CDC advised people also not to take ivermectin, saying that it could cause severe illness, especially if, and as we've seen with some people who go out and, since they can't get a prescription, go out and buy the animal version and misdose themselves. So they'll take too big of a dose for a human being and then end up sick and then end up in the hospital anyway. And then later on, they end up getting COVID. If only they had gotten a vaccine. And by the way, when they get COVID, they have got no antibodies to fight it. That's why, unfortunately, thanks to the Delta variant, you have 99% of all the COVID deaths coming from unvaccinated people. If only they had actually gotten the vaccines. It's weird. But it gets worse. The physicians already know that they're prescribing fake cures to people. Why? I mean, how do I know that, right? Well, according to the hacks, it's because they make people sign a disclaimer so that they don't get sued when something bad happens. In fact, one physician included this disclaimer in their consultation notes with several patients, saying, I, physician's name, have a complete understanding of the recent release from the WHO, FDA, CDC, and NIH on March 5th, 2021, as it pertains to the use and prescribing of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. I understand that these two medications have been deemed highly not recommended by the aforementioned medical governing bodies, but are not illegal to prescribe. I have explained that I will not be held legally or medically responsible for an adverse reaction by this patient should they choose to take them, and have explained that they will not be able to hold me medically neglectful, pursue any form of malpractice, nor any criminal and civil lawsuits. So in order to get this, they have to have that waiver. And of course, they're getting paid for this too. I don't remember having to pay or get a waiver to get my COVID vaccine. Weird. Real strange. It's almost as if this is about the money. That they know that they can cultivate a bunch of gullible dupes in order to empty their pockets. A scam, for a scam that can literally kill them. You ever notice too, by the way, it's the same type of people. So they looked at the demographics of the people affected by this hack, okay? Or I should say on the record for this, who have actually ordered this and went through these telehealth services. So they found out the demographics, and even though they did service people of all different age ranges, generally they tend to be 60 plus. So you're talking older people, which generally tend to be more conservative, watch Fox News, get memes from right-wing Facebook groups, and also believe in other conspiracies. These people are unanimously targeted by bad actors because those bad actors see them as easy marks. And generally they tend to be. Now, another part of this is people who have lost trust in institutions. Now, let me be clear. I'm wary of some of our institutions, of course. Law enforcement, for example. Pretty wary of law enforcement. Pretty wary of some of our political institutions. But understand that context does matter. So when you look at certain things, when you look at certain actions, when you look at certain motivations, et cetera, you tend to understand who to trust if you use a little critical thinking, right? It's not just blind trust of institutions. It has to be I should say, based on certain factors, critical thinking, again, being one of them. And so when you look at the pandemic, pandemics are pretty bad for countries. That's not good for businesses. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for anybody if you have a pandemic that goes unchecked. I think we can all agree that generally bad. So now it turns out the status quo is actually a lot better for business than anything else. And what I mean by the status quo, for example, before the pandemic, what were all these big pharmaceutical companies doing? They were gouging people on things like insulin and other medications, EpiPens, etc., or biologics. You know, these expensive medications that are generally pretty specialized that they can really jack up the price on. So that's where their profit, understand this is where profit margins from pharmaceutical companies come from. They don't come from vaccines. They don't make the majority of their money from vaccines. And so, I mean, that's part of it, okay? So now, as I said, if you have an out-of-control pandemic, that's terrible for business, terrible for profit margins. If you kill everybody, nobody's going to be around to buy your expensive treatments. And understand that the virus can affect any one of us. So, as I said, there is an understandable distrust in institutions. I get it. But at the same time, don't be so distrustful of certain institutions that you will fall for grifters, unscrupulous actors who will definitely take advantage of your distrust and lead you astray. Again, and sell you, so in some cases, literal snake oil. You have to use critical thinking. You have to be able to understand motives, and you also have to understand science, at least the very basics. And because, you know, you've got to figure out how to avoid being scammed and falling for these companies, again, that don't care if you live or die. All right, let's go to Mike Pillow. In another example of how far Mike Pillow has fallen off the wagon, he recently called on Idaho officials to do hand recounts in places where Donald Trump had already won. Which means it's time for another episode of Pillow Talk.
God gave me this platform. I already know I'm going to win.
China did our vote. Biden and Harris would say, hey, we're here to protect the country, and resign.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't.
Just forget about the evidence. This was attacked.
So Mike Lindell continues to go across the country and do call for nonsensical recounts. The latest ones actually happened in two small counties in Idaho. Now, a very curious choice because these counties in Idaho overwhelmingly went to Donald Trump. But apparently not overwhelmingly enough for Mike Lindell. So now in a document, and I love the irony about this, right? Called The Big Lie on frankspeech.com. Lindell alleged that about 35,000 votes in Idaho were switched electronically from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. And so he's saying, wow, look at how many votes they switched. Okay, but did Donald Trump still win? Yes. And so that accomplished what? Exactly? Oh, the votes, they switched the votes. But did Donald Trump still carry the state and both of these counties? Yes, by, again, very large numbers. And so understand that, like, okay, the question is, for Lindell, why would this even happen? Idaho went to Donald Trump, was going to go to Donald Trump. This is a small red state, population-wise, and it would actually mean nothing if Biden had carried it, which would, again, be very curious. Had Biden carried it. So it doesn't make any sense. What would be the point? So now, in response to Lindell's allegations, Idaho wasn't happy. The Secretary of State's office, led by Republican Lawrence Denny, decided to do some recounts in Camas and Butte counties, which were selected because of their small size, allowing Lindell's claim to be easily proven or disproven. So here's a Republican saying, all right, we know you've got concerns. You've got concerns, so we're just going to do this anyway. Let's do a recount. All right, let's humor you. Let's see what happens. Well, and let me give you a statement here. Denny told to Boise's Channel 11, quote, the Office of the Idaho Secretary of State takes free, fair, and accurate elections seriously. And when we are presented with allegations that come with specific details which we can examine, we want to do so. Denny's chief deputy, Chad Hawk, added, once we had the big lie document in hand, we immediately believed there was something amiss. You don't say. Really? Were there dumps? Were there
big massive dumps?
Big massive dumps, like what Trump said. Well, this document, Huck explained, alleged electronic manipulation in all 44 counties. That apparently is just too much. Too much. In fact, he said, at least 7 Idaho counties have no electronic steps in their vote counting processes. That was a huge flag, and one we knew we could either prove or disprove fairly directly. So now, are you saying that Mike Lindell handed over allegations with no evidence and not even knowing how the actual process works in Idaho? No, he would never, would he? No, of course not. So let's get to the numbers, right? So now, in Butte County, the official canvass last year showed 1,202 votes for Donald Trump and a total of 188 for Biden. Lindell says, no, that didn't happen. 188 people did not vote for Joe Biden. Lindell alleged that Butte County should have only had 130 votes for Biden based on what? We don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows where he got this. The actual ballots, Hawk said, upon manual inspection and hand evaluation in the presence of local representatives from both Republican and Democratic parties, in fact, showed exactly the expected 188 marked votes for Biden, not 130. Now, they did find an anomaly. They said the only anomaly was that only 1,406 of the 1,415 ballots originally tallied for the county's canvass were counted, resulting in a lower number of 1,193 for Trump compared to the canvass 1,202. The discrepancy attributed to sorting and storage issues. So, slightly less votes for Trump, but the same amount of votes for Biden. Good job. Well done. Oh, wow. But Trump still won, but just by slightly less. Wow. Congratulations. In Camas County, last year's canvass showed 507 votes for Trump and 149 for Biden. The hand recount found 508 votes for Trump and 149 for Biden. Oh, look, see, there you go, win. You picked up an additional vote in a state that you had already won incredibly comfortably. Well done. Hawk said this human error of 0.14% could have easily been in our own process or an election day, but it was well short of the supposed 54 vote difference alleged by the big lie spreadsheet. My God, Karens have learned how to use spreadsheets. Oy. This is comical, but there's more, of course. Idaho officials now plan to conduct a third recount next month in Bonner County, where Lindell alleges that 2,244 votes were switched from Trump to Biden. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, that's a lot. And that would guarantee that Trump still wins the state and gets the same number of electoral votes. Does he even understand how this system works? He already won the state. And again, the recount so far found absolutely no evidence of vote switching. In some cases, not in Idaho, but in other places, actually ended up getting more votes for Joe Biden, not for Trump. None of this makes any sense. Why even bother? Why waste more time and taxpayer money just to get more egg on Lindell's face? And by the way, this is from people who actually do say that they agree with allegations of mass voter fraud. Again, Bonner County Clerk Mike Rosedale said this, quote, "While I generally agree with Mike Lindell's focus on massive voter fraud in 6+ key states, his facts regarding Idaho quite missed the mark. Well, completely missed the mark," he added. So, yeah, completely missed the mark indeed. What this means, he said, is that somebody just assigned a magic vote fraud number to all Idaho counties. You don't say. Wow. He is so close. So close. There's more. He said this. Their goal appears to make a big splash, shock and awe. Every state. Oh, the horror. This should make your blood boil, Democrats and Republicans. For the sake of apparently trying to make a big splash, he tarnished the reputations of possibly thousands of counties across the USA. Smooth move, Mr. Lindell. So I love the sarcasm in this, because basically what he's saying is, hey, moron, I'm with you. I agree with fraud, wink, 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 just not here. What you're doing is making us all look stupid. Why don't you focus in the other places? You know, the places that would actually freaking matter if you could, quote unquote, prove your election fraud conspiracies. Rosedale, understand that Rosedale is not a moron. He's one of those Republicans, and lots of them exist, that know the real purpose behind alleging mass voter fraud. And that purpose is to restrict minorities from voting. That's what it is. It's always been the purpose. Creating a problem, or in this case, imagining it, and then solving it by restricting voting in order to, protect the integrity of our electoral process, yes. And of course, after they say that, they'll mumble under their breath by keeping the dark people out. That just, usually goes unsaid, but so far now after Trump, a lot of Republicans are just no longer that sophisticated, and they just get pretty bold about their racism. But Mike Lindell is a stupid person. And he actually does believe this. I mean, 100%. He's 100% sold on this nonsense. Why else would you end up in Idaho counting in places where Trump already won? The guy has completely lost it and is out of touch with reality. Jesus. More. All right. Apparently, Senator Ted Cruz is now a fan of the NBA, or at least, of course, one of the NBA players. One of them whom happened to be unvaccinated, of course. So now, yesterday, Ted Cruz tweeted this out, along with an article from The Hill. He says, "I stand with Kyrie Irving. I stand with Andrew Wiggins. I stand with Bradley Beal. I stand with Jonathan Isaac. Hashtag NBA. Hashtag your body, your choice." Now, look, I don't know sports. I don't know who any of these people are. I want to be 100% honest. But apparently, the article that Cruz had shared is headlined, NBA struggles with vocal vaccine holdouts, and notes that some of the league's brightest stars are refusing to get their shot. So now, I think I can understand why. For one, a lot of them probably say, look, we're in good shape. Why do we need the vaccine? I'm in good shape. I work out. I eat right. Well, unfortunately for them, virus can still hit pretty hard, people who are healthy pretty hard, and then make you not healthy. That's what happens. So working out and eating right alone is not something that you can count on to keep you from getting sick. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not good to eat right. No, it absolutely is. You eat right, you exercise, you get good sleep. That does help your immune system. It does benefit your immune system. However, when it comes to viruses, vaccines help the immune system more. And so all those things, by the way, are recommended for people to have the best chance to fight not just COVID, but any virus. Diet, exercise, sleep, adequate sleep, stress management, as well as, in this case, COVID, physical distancing, mask wearing, and vaccination. Vaccines, as I said before, aren't perfect. They do the job, and they do it fairly well. And it's a lot better than just relying on a healthy lifestyle alone, even though, again, that is still important anyway. So now, back to the article that Cruz had linked. Here's where it gets crazy. Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving, vice president of the union, reportedly has not been vaccinated. Unless he is given an exemption or gets vaccinated, Irving can miss all of Brooklyn's home games so long as New York City's indoor vaccine mandate is in place, potentially costing the team wins and forfeiting millions of dollars. Please respect my privacy, Irving told reporters in a Zoom meeting on Monday in response to questions about his vaccination status. Okay, but why? Here's the thing. You're a public figure. You're going to be playing in front of people. You have an obligation to protect yourself and your teammates, and as well as the coaches and fans. It's not just you. You're in a public place. But here's the real reason, right? It turns out this guy's a conspiracy theorist. Irving recently liked Instagram posts from a user who claims that vaccines implant microchips as part of a plan of Satan. Ah, great. The Gainesville Sun adds that Kyrie Irving is apparently leading the chatter on the microchip conspiracy theory. He has been linking to social media posts about secret societies, implanting vaccines in a plot to connect black people to a master computer for a plan of Satan. Bonkers. Total bonkers. Here we go. So now, first off, there's no vaccine microchip technology. That has not been developed. That does not exist. Second of all, if you're worried about microchips, you probably shouldn't carry around a cell phone. This thing's full of microchips. Weird, I know, right? And oh my God, it can even track you. It can track where you're going. It can even tell you how fast you're going. Oh no. Oh no, how many steps you've taken or where you're at. Oh no. Now, as far as the satanic master computer conspiracy theory, I don't have any words for that. I don't even know. I don't know what to say. That's a new one. That's a new one. Why do you believe in insane things? Why? I don't get it. And yet, here is Ted Cruz, unsurprisingly, a member of Congress, saying, nailed it. Yeah, I stand with you. I stand with you. Honestly, I shouldn't be surprised. No one should be surprised at Ted Cruz. Because remember, back in the day, Ted Cruz used to spread insane conspiracy theories about Agenda 21 in the UN. Remember that? Remember, Agenda 21, they would claim, would force all people, all Texans, into hobbit homes. Now, I'm thinking, really? Hobbit homes are kind of nice, actually. They are quite nice. You ever seen the inside of a hobbit home? Very nice. Very nice. In fact, you know, I would love to have second breakfast. Saying. Now, funny enough, so he stands with this basketball player on this one, but that same basketball player had also stood with Kaepernick, or I should say, kneeled with Kaepernick. So, was Ted Cruz on his side then? No, not at all. Interesting. So now, the other funny thing about Cruz's tweet is the non-ironic usage of the hashtag #MyBodyMyChoice. I don't know if you caught that. Is Ted Cruz aware of what's going on in Texas right now? With the whole, you know, unconstitutional abortion bill that's going on? Is he? Of course he is. Of course he is. He just doesn't see the irony here of his position, or, you know, more likely he doesn't give a damn. And that's who Ted Cruz is. Understand that he's a snake. He's incredibly slimy, and he's going to side with anybody as long as it helps him politically. That's what he's always done, and it's what he'll always do. Whether it be phone banking for Donald Trump one day, or, you know, the day before, speaking out, oh, I'm going to challenge Donald Trump. And then even saying, well, I could team up with AOC on this. And then slamming her as a Marxist socialist the next day. So, again, it doesn't matter for Ted Cruz. His only ideology is to himself and his own career advancement. All right. My body, my choice, unless you're a woman. True. Very, very true. Let's move on. Go to Smart Dust. You're going to love that segment. Pretty tough keeping up with all the bonkers new conspiracy theories being vomited up by the internet. That said, I did a video a couple of months ago where a woman claimed to be magnetic, getting magnetic powers from the COVID vaccine. Obviously, that's nonsense. You do not get magneto powers from the vaccine. Now, the reason that I bring that up is that we now have a new variation on the magnetic conspiracy. This time, not involving the COVID-19 vaccine, but smart dust. Smart dust. So now, what makes it smart? I don't know. I don't know. Apparently, this is a real thing that they've come up with. These are very, very small sensors. So it's basically nanotechnology, which is very interesting stuff. That said, according to randos on the internet, the deep state is blanketing people in smart dust in order to do something to you, which wouldn't make sense because, honestly, if it was to track you, then we all are already being tracked by our phones. So, you know, that doesn't make sense because we all carry our phones around and have like a million different things that track us anyway. Why would they need to do this smart dust? Again, none of this stuff makes sense, okay? But nonetheless, these people, a woman on the internet, has decided that she is going to prove that she has been blanketed in smart dust by using the power of magnetism. Take a look.
I just read an article that said that it's possible that there's like smart dust being sprayed and that you could become magnetic. And I was like, well, that's crazy. It's pretty magnetic. I am literally super magnetic right there. And then I tried my head, super magnetic there. And pretty magnetic here. And if I could keep going, right there, even right here. So I'm literally, my head is down. There goes one. There goes another. Okay, so I had to put my head, I still have one with my head completely down. Still there. Finally. All right, so let's try it again, and then we'll do the sternum. So one, very magnetic right there. 2, 3. I think it sticks better in the middle of the head, which is frightening. Okay, and then the spoon. I got a short spoon so you could, so I'll just show you. They said it was most magnetic where your lungs, you breathe it in, possibly it's extremely magnetic here. So I'm sitting right up. It's literally a spoon. All right, hold on. I'm gonna show you something else. So 1 spoon, 2 spoons.
I do not want to live on this planet anymore. Not with these people. I mean, my God. You know what makes those things stick to you, right? Oil, sweat. Go take a shower. Not magnetism. That's not how magnets work. It's not. I know. She's going to be in the next ICP video, right? At magnets, how do they work? Apparently, they probably know more about magnets than she does. Now, here's the thing, right? So, even if you were magnetic, coins aren't going to stick to you. At least not US-made coins. Why? Because, well, magnets respond to ferrous materials, right? US currency, US coins do not contain enough ferrous material for you to be, for it to react to magnets. So let me give you some information on this, okay? And I can't believe I have to do this, but the quarter is actually made from 91% copper and 9% nickel. It does not have enough nickel content to be magnetic. The dime, 91.5% copper and 8.5% nickel, therefore, once again, not magnetic. A penny is 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, again, not magnetic. There's nothing for it to attract to. Why? Look, I understand the appeal of wanting to be Magneto. Or in this case, where she's saying, no, I don't want to be Magneto. I don't want the smart dust. Oh, I don't want no smart dust. I want the, apparently she's been taking a lot of stupid dust. Again, you know, she's like, I got this article. It was very concerning online. Really, who sent it to you? Where's it from? Where's it from? Where's it from? Can't explain it. Can't explain it. Tide goes in, tide goes out. Can't explain that. Can't explain why this sticks to my skin. No, you know, this proves only one thing. That dumb people will fall for anything if they find it on the internet. Good Lord. All right, let's move on. One more story for y'all. Maybe she just has a magnetic personality, or apparently not, since nothing seems to really stick to her all that well. Like, oh, they keep falling off, but I'm super magnetic. Oh my God, no. I'm grossed out by how sweaty and greasy she must have been. True. Take a shower. Take a shower. The internet doesn't lie. I read it on the internet. Oh, yes. True. All right. Let's go to the last story here. As I said, fun times. Let's do it. Matt Walsh is a troll. Now, he loves attention. He may also live under a bridge, And from time to time, I hear things about him snatching cattle and small children from farms. That's just what I heard. People are saying. Lots of people are saying. I heard it from somewhere. I read it on the internet. What are you talking about? I'm just asking questions. Does he actually live under a bridge? Does he actually steal children? I don't know. I can't tell. He says that he doesn't, but I don't know for sure. He could be lying. I don't know. Now, one thing he definitely did do that we know is fake an address so that he could deliver an anti-trans rant to a school board meeting, of which, again, he does not actually literally live in the district, nor does he have children in the district. Nonetheless, he went and ranted anyway. So now Walsh, of course, hosts a podcast for Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire and took to Facebook last week to proclaim that he would lead a Protect Your Kids rally outside Loudoun County weekly school board meeting on Tuesday. So now, why there? Why in Loudoun County? It turns out that is some place that has been actually trying to take steps to protect transgender students, and therefore is a prime target in the conservative culture wars. As a result of this nonsense that's been happening, the Loudoun County School Board had announced some guidelines for those seeking to publicly comment at their weekly meetings, so they don't have freaking randos coming in and spouting nonsense and hate and bigotry towards the students and the people that live there. So now, one of the rules is that the commenters must be local residents if they weren't LCPS students, parents, teachers, or local business owners. So it seems fairly straightforward. It actually seems to make a lot of sense. Because again, why would you be at a school board meeting for a district that you don't live at or have any students enrolled? It seems like it's not actually your business, dude. Like, what are you doing? I mean, it seems super creeper-like to go and randomly show up at meetings and to go off about trans kids. Like, why is that even a consideration in your mind? Like, why do you have an unhealthy fixation with transgender children? The way that you go on about it, it's like you're constantly thinking about them. You're thinking about it. It's like, oh, yeah, my transgender kids. You can't get it off your mind, and it's super, super weird and super freaking creepy. But I understand that's what they do. Okay? He decided to not follow those guidelines, and so was very, very upset, of course, when they didn't allow him to show up to do that. So he cried about it. In fact, here's what he said on Twitter: Loudoun County changed the rules so that only residents can speak at the school board. In unrelated news, I'm proud to announce that I'm now a resident of Loudoun County. Just rented a home in the area. I'll have a lease agreement. See you at the meeting. So now, a lot of people were saying earlier when this came out, like, oh my God, this idiot actually went and rented a house. Apparently, he says that he rented a room for like $1 from like a friend. I'm dubious about that. I'm very, very skeptical here because I don't think Matt Walsh has friends. You'd actually need friends for that. But okay, all right. Sure, if we take you at face value, all right. Well, there you go. Obviously, definitely trying to skirt the rules. In order to go to these meetings, he's very focused on this, very obsessed with trans people, with trans children. And now, as I said, this sad and pathetic human being decided that he was going to show up at this meeting and he's going to go off and say a bunch of terrible things. Here it is.
I would thank you all for allowing me to speak to you tonight, but you tried not to allow it, yet here I am. Now, you only give us 60 seconds, so let me get to the point. You are all child abusers. You prey upon impressionable children and indoctrinate them into your insane ideological cult, a cult which holds many fanatical views, but none so deranged as the idea that boys are girls and girls are boys. By imposing this vile nonsense on students to the point even of forcing young girls to share locker rooms with boys, you deprive these kids of safety and privacy and something more fundamental too, which is truth. If education is not grounded in truth, then it is worthless. Worse, it is poison. You are poison. You are predators. I can see why you try to stop us from speaking. You know that your ideas are indefensible. You silence the opposing side because you have no argument. You can only hide under your beds like pathetic little gutless cowards hoping we shut up and go away. But we won't. I promise you that.
You silence the other side, he says, choking back tears in the middle of a rant that is very public. Isn't it hilarious how the same people that cry about, oh my God, I'm being silenced, are often the most loudest motherfuckers in the room? Like, oh, no, I can't believe I'm being silenced in front of a crowd of thousands of people. Or, you know, on the internet, like in front of the cameras. And by the way, he's going to go on later in this video and talk to Laura Ingraham. Far from being silenced, dude, seriously. But again, with the crying, the cope and seethe here, okay? And understand that this is all projection. He says, oh, they want to bring you in, and they want to indoctrinate people into their insane ideological cult, their religion. No, that's what you want to do. That's exactly what you want to do. You know what trans people want to do? You know the only ideology, the trans ideology is this. I just want to live my life. That's it. That's it. I want to live my life the way that I want to live it. And, you know, and that's it. I don't care what other people do. I don't want to mess with other people. I just want to live my life. Wow. Oh, that's terrible. But this guy's an insane person, and so he can't leave them alone. He can't leave them alone for a second. He's got to go after, and understand, he's got to go after children. By the way, these are kids that he's talking about. And no, he's not done crying yet, by the way. So now he goes on Laura Ingraham's show in order to take a victory lap over his little stunt, but at the same time ended up still crying because that's all he does. Watch.
They said that they made that change to disallow non-residents, and they made it coincidentally. It had nothing to do with me. And so I just want to say for the record that I became a Loudoun County resident also coincidentally. It's a lifelong dream that I've had to be a resident of Loudoun County, and I just decided to finally, come out and live my truth as a Virginian this week. And it all just kind of worked out this way, coincidentally. I do think it's interesting that the school board said that they just want to hear from parents. They want to give parents a chance to have their voices heard. Well, really? Because before I showed up, they were giving parents 60 seconds. So if you want to hear from people, if you want to hear their point of view, then it's just a strange strategy to let them speak for 60 seconds and then sound a buzzer and cut the mic off, because that's what they do in Loudoun County. That's how they communicate how much they want to hear from the parents in Loudoun County.
Yeah, they do not want any opposition. They don't want to hear from you.
Oh, again with the projection. Massive, massive projection all over the place. They're projecting everywhere. They don't want to hear from us. They don't want to hear from parents. No, they don't want to hear from your random ass, which they still had to listen to for 60 seconds, just like every other parent you just pointed out. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want special treatment, Matt Walsh? Did you say that you deserve to have special treatment because you're Matt Walsh? No, you don't get any special goddamn treatment. Especially when you're going to sit there and harass people. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with this weak, pathetic man, this child? And by the way, he said, well, they don't really care to hear from parents. You're a parent, but you don't even have kids in the district. Why should they have to listen to you? You still came. You know why? Because you ended up having to skirt the rules. And now you're going and saying, oh yeah, well, look at me, I skirted the rules. I'm just going do this anti-trans rant. Yeah, look at me, I'm a winner. No, you're a loser. Pathetic, sad, baby. And again, very, very sad attempt in order to get attention. But guess what? Congratulations. You got your attention, Matt. You got it. It worked. People are talking about you. Yay, congratulations. Hopefully it was worth it, you scumbag transphobe. All right. Anyway, that's it. Yeah, Matt Walsh, total scumbag and weirdo. Jedi Protector with the very kind $2 super chat says, I'm positive she had a negative personality. Oh, look at that. Very nice. Well done. Let's see. He's a paid troll. Who is Matt Walsh? You don't want to know. You don't want to know. That's who he is. That's who he is. Crazy person working for Daily Wire. By the way, Daily Wire, before Facebook had gotten in trouble, the Daily Wire was Facebook's probably -- news source. And you got to understand, like, I know some of you are like, well, I don't use Facebook. Facebook is terrible. I agree. And in some cases, Facebook can be terrible because it prioritizes right-wing sources. One of those being Daily Wire and Matt Bongino and all these different right-wing sources are the top news sources. That's why you have such a strong conservative presence on Facebook. And of course, I think my excellent followers on Facebook for bucking that trend and for following the show and watching. I really do appreciate you. But we are outnumbered on all the different social media platforms, to be honest with you. Outnumbered by like reactionaries and conservative transphobes and all these terrible people. So that is one big problem, is that you have these media outlets that are very, very well known conservative community. So I think it's important to go and point these out and go after their ideas, attack their ideas. They're not news sources, they're opinion sources. Where's the line, though? There's no more line anymore when it comes to info. Like, when it comes to our news, like, sphere, our information sphere, a lot of places have blended the line where it is no longer straight news. I mean, even this show, it's a lot of opinion and news mixed into it. But yeah, there's a lot of opinion and a lot of perspective. There's my perspective, and I try to give you the facts, but and to have my opinion on it. And so where is the line anymore? It has disappeared in this modern day, and it actually honestly should come back. We need a fairness doctrine again, to where you have a separation, between news and opinion that is clearly delineated. And we don't have that anymore. I don't think you quite understand what I was saying. News is news. There isn't two sides. It's ridiculous. Yes, news is news. But I'm saying that news presenters now, I mean, when you look at cutbacks in newsrooms, when you look at cutbacks on, cable programming, that's not news anymore. There's barely any straight news at all that's going on. Now there is a lot of opinion that is disguised as news sources. Yeah, so I just felt like I needed to explain that a little bit better. He's inciting violence against schools, and he knows it. True. Exactly. Who burned the Fairness Doctrine? Was it Clinton? I believe so. Telecommunications Act of 1996, I believe. That's really when it started to go super downhill. Fox News, etc. And so, yeah, we now have a problem with information. We've got information everywhere, but nobody knows what's true anymore. And that, of course, is where you have a distrust in that institution as well. I feel like this is something that, I could definitely have a conversation with somebody a lot smarter than me about. Reagan did it in 1987. Disaster. All I know is that it's not a good situation. We do need to have a fairness doctrine back, and we need to have news stations that actually give news. And that's okay. Reagan, gotcha. All right. Well, hey, that's it. That's all the stories I got. All the time I've got. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Part of the meal. Cheer 200 bits. Thank you. Appreciate that. Paved the way for Rush Limbaugh. Yep. Unfortunately. And Rush Limbaugh really was the start of right-wing hate radio. and the popularity of conservative stations. So, all right. As I said, thank you all. I appreciate you. Tune in tomorrow. We're going to have another good show. Thank you all. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. See you all tomorrow. Have an excellent day.
There's some whores in this house. Wet ass keyword.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Mike Pence.
Please clap. You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Stop with the questions. Celebrate.